Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Lockout, our new Supercoach show that we're going to try and do each and every week. We can talk about Supercoach, me and my brother, Brody, as always. Brody, brother, how you doing? How you feeling with your Supercoach team? Because I know you have got the itch just like me. You're changing the side left, right, and center. How excited you are for this Supercoach season, and how locked in are you for your side coming into the first round?
Not so much as I tend to be. Put it that way. Like I'm happy with like Big Red, getting the starting position up front for Canberra over Papali'i. Or that's massive. That's massive for my super coach squad. And a couple other positions I'm starting to lock down, but there's still a few where I'm like, I just need to see that rest of round one team list to be able to get it going and lock that in. But yeah, very excited.
Yeah, totally agree, bro. I've been honestly mixing, I've been mixing and matching throughout this whole preseason, been looking up all the stats and trying to really figure out the best way to go. But sometimes it's always good just to like sit back and just go, all right, this is the way I thought about it. Let's just set it in paper, set it in stone, and let it just go. I think there's going to be a lot of chop and changing because we got round 0 here with Vegas coming up this weekend. And then obviously our round 1 lineups come in next week. So there's going to be a lot of chopping and changing. Supercoach does allow you to do that. I thought we'll obviously start off with that. Any fans that don't understand that part of Supercoach as well. So you got round 0 with Vegas this year. It's similar to last year. You can lock in all your players that are playing for Vegas in your side, and they'll lock in as soon as they play. But then you've got a free little period there for your week to change out any other players that haven't scored or haven't played in that Vegas game. You got unlimited trades to trade around it and play around with your side. So if you are worried at all and you're not 100% sure on those Vegas sides, you probably would like to move those players along and then so they don't get locked in. If you're set in stone on a Vegas player, lock them in. They'll score your points on that first weekend, but unfortunately you won't be able to trade them out as soon as they score their points. So I want to let everyone know that. But yeah, bro, does that worry you in any sort of way, bro? Have you got a lot of players that you feel like are up in the air with the obviously the Vegas round this weekend? Like obviously I see, Nico Hines, Nathan Cleary's coming to this week. I think a lot of those guys are set in stone, have great games, but is there any worries for you with that? And obviously scoring early and then missing the boat on other players for the next week after?
No, I'm not holding anybody that I'm up in the air on. That's our part of the Wars, Canberra, Panthers and Sharks. Everybody that I'm holding from those 4 teams are going to be guys that I stick with. I think I've got Blake Brayley, Nico Hines, Nathan Cleary, Corey Horsburgh, and a cheapy Warriors player not worried at all. I think they'll do the job for me. And then it's the other guys that I'm still kind of tossing up, a couple of positions in my back line, a couple of back row liners as well, just to finalize those guys next week when we see that team list.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Really, really excited to get through your team list in this show as well, guys. So we will be going through Brody's team list before this round. Obviously, you've already seen our team list before. This is with all the changes. You're going to see my team list coming into the Vegas round. And then also we got 2 other sides we're going to pick apart. I wasn't able to do every single side, guys. I do apologize. I did see a lot of sides come my way. Just obviously, if we did that, this would be a 3 to 4 hour stream, and we can't do that consistently every single night. So, but I hope you guys do enjoy. First of all, we may as well get straight into it, brother, with Brody's team list for round 0 in Vegas. So, honestly, not too many changes. There's a couple of them. Starting off with your fullback position, you got Kalen Ponga, Tommy Trbojevic, and Isaiah Iongi. They were your
all
3
from
before as well. Obviously, just going to stick solid. You're still very high on Tom Trbojevic. Guys, if you watch the other show, it's going to be like rinse and repeat. Tom Trbojevic, Kalen Ponga, guns of Supercoach, Isaiah Iongi, cash cow. That's the way you're thinking of it?
I am, yeah. And I did see a lot that I liked in Iongi in the trials, and I feel like he could even be one that scores around the 80 mark anyway. So his cash is just going to go through the roof. Then eventually, potentially trade him out after Origin period, if not sooner, for like someone like Reece Walsh or Teddy. But yeah, 3 pretty guns there that I'm happy with.
Yeah, 100%. Jazz, obviously commenting in the chat as well. Shit, how long have we got to finalize our team? As I said before, round 0, all those players that are going to be playing round 0, Panthers, Warriors, Raiders, and Sharkies, they lock in this weekend as soon as they score points. And then you got another week to play around with the team around that. But most likely, try and lock in your side that you think is going to happen this week coming. Because this Sunday...
PT, bro, do not take Jazzy's advice.
Yeah. Oh, we love it. We love it. Here we go. Go for the Warriors. Love to see it. Moving over to your center wing combination here, brother. Jermaine Asako, Greg Marju, Casey McLean, and Marcelo Montoya. Finishing off on the bench, we got Jesse Arthurs, Isaiah Tass, Robert Toya. Not too many changes there either. I think the new man you brought in, Casey McLean, from memory.
Yeah. So Toto out for Casey McLean with that hamstring injury. They say it's only going to be 1 week for Toto, but 2 weeks technically in Supercoach terms for this start of the rounds. And I don't like the risk of holding Toto right now. If he's got that hammy injury, it's going to hinder his workload. And we know that the Panthers are very safe and love to play safe with their players, so they will just rest Toto for extra weeks if they need be. So he's just storing too much cash for my liking there. And the other one, I can't remember who I had, Jack Howarth, I think it was, and I've traded him out for Montoya, more so for the fact that I didn't have a doggies player. I liked Montoya's work in the trials with the meters, and if he's on that left-hand edge, which he will be, I do see him scoring a couple of tries for us as well.
There is some positives there. Obviously, if Carraz is out due to that little back niggle that he has currently right now, that's apparently backing on the back of a hip surgery or something like that he had in the off season. So hopefully he's doing well, and we're not sure how far he's off, coming back into the lineup. Marcelo Montoya is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting with the run rate out of the back end. So that's probably what you're envisioning as well, right? Carraz gone. He's going to come in and fill in that role there too. Obviously, we spoke last night about all our predictions this year, daily M predictions, stuff like that. Your top point scorer is Jermaine Asako. That probably gives you a vision of why you have Jermaine Asako on your side right now.
Yeah, points for days with Asako. He does a lot of good work out of the back end. He's going to score that 18-plus range of tries for the season, despite any injuries and goal-kicking duties as well. So, bit of a no-brainer for me, Asako. He's a bit of a super coach gun.
And as you said last week, you steered away from Ruben Garrick a little bit due to just that center position. You still don't like him in that center position at the moment.
Not as much as wing.
Upside, yeah. So that's the reason why you're sticking with someone like Jermaine Asako. Has a similar ability, try scoring ability, that sort of stuff is where you're kind of looking at, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Just on the end of the back line more so than a potential try assist, more so than scoring the actual try. We know tries score a lot more than try assist when it comes to Supercoach points, and that's kind of the avenue I'm going with. Garrick will be a good one later on, I believe.
Yeah, 100%, brother. Moving over to your halves. So you got your 5'8s here, Lockie Galvin and Luke Metcalf. So just seeing, obviously, there's a new duels out there, guys. Luke Metcalf has gotten his halfback duel before the season. Lockie Galvin being your starting 5'8, I enjoy that move. Seeing him in the trials, the amount of touches he had, he looks like he's live. He's ready to go. Next to someone like Jerome Luai. Let's hope that he's in for another great year there.
Yeah, I think what the trials did for me was reassured me that he's still going to be doing a lot of the kicking. We know Luai's not a big kicker in field of play. That banks a lot of points as well for halves in the competition of Supercoach. I know his touches will go down a little bit with Luai coming back in, but I think his valuable touches will go up, if that makes sense. So like when he's getting the ball, it's in really good position because Luai's doing all the setup work, in my opinion. Love that Metcalf's now got the duel. If Hines or Cleary go down, I can save a trade by moving Metcalf up to that half role. And I ended up finding some money to go with Hines and Cleary instead of having Ilias there.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I like that move overall. As I said, I got to echo your sentiment about Luke Metcalf. It just frees us up. So much movement there. If obviously coming to the season, Nathan Cleary coming off a shoulder surgery, we all expect him to be all goods and ready to go on that. Nico Hines, he still has some doubts in some areas. If Trindle takes a lot of points off him, this and that, his goal kicking ability, that little injury or whatever he had deal with in the trials as well. If anything happens to any of those boys, Luke Metcalf can push up there and you can free up cash to play with the other side, right?
That's exactly right, brother. Beautiful
thoughts there. Moving over to your second row unit, you got Paddy Carrigan, Fine Fuyaki, and Cohen Hess. And on your bench, Jack Jozeski, Dimitri Vaimwanga, and Lachlan Hubner. Carrigan, again, a guy that has picked up the duel too, and it's a big duel, obviously the front row forward. I was seriously looking at Paddy Carrigan for the ability to push him up to my front row. I love that pick from you there. Cohen Hess, I think we spoke about before you jumped on. At the moment, he's sitting there, but he could be a placeholder. Is that right?
Yeah, he's more so I just downsized from someone like Jack Williams. I just want to see if he's starting. If he's starting and Jack Williams is starting, it's saving me about 120K-ish off the top of my head to potentially use that cash somewhere else. But yeah, that's the only position in my back row there that I'm still a bit unsure of. Those other 5 guys are pretty set in Carrigan and Hubner. Gun, you know, he's potential. I've heard a lot of rumors that he's been training at lock, starting lock, now that Murray's out. So if he does that, man, his cash is going to go through the roof as well. So if he's named round 1 at lock, which I think he will be, I think I'm going to be pushing him into that starting role instead of Hess, and then picking up another cheapie around that 200K mark.
Yeah, all the news around, obviously, Cam Murray going down. Really unfortunate for Cam Murray, but it opens up the opportunity for someone like Hubner that's been pulled up from that Dolphins system when Wayne Bennett was there. He's brought him up to South Sydney Rabbitohs. That obviously is for a reason. Wayne Bennett probably sees a lot of good things in him. Wayne has done this in the past with a lot of good players, so it's a very good pickup, very cheap price, and if he's playing long minutes there in that 13 jersey, I'm sure that he'll get better than what he is at bottom dollar. Jack Jazeski as well, from all rumors coming out of the training sessions at the moment with the Brisbane Broncos, been updated today. I think it was today or yesterday. He has still got that edge back rower spot. So it's been locked in since the trials now. Him and Shibasaki both get new roles there for the Broncos. So Jazeski, 232K, cheap as chips. Even if he averages 30, 40, he makes money. So that's
well, with that said, he killed it in the trials as well. Like he was one of the highest. I know the fantasy is different, like NRL fantasy is different, but on the NRL stats, he had one of the highest scores out of the Broncos players on that. And I just loved his work rate. You know, I think it was 30 plus tackles, 120 odd meters, something like that. So yeah, at the price he's at, if he's starting, you know that he's just going to make some cash straight away. I probably won't select him as a reserve. I've got my other guys for that, but he's just there to solely make me cash.
Yeah, I love it too, because you obviously got 2 guys here with front row duels. So moving over to your front rowers, we got Nafahu White, Corey Horsburgh, Tino Fa'asul Malaawi, and Royce Hunt. So I might take the words out of your mouth a little bit here. I don't know if this is where you're envisioning, but I do think that you're going to get to a point where Tino and Paddy Carrigan will probably be your starting front rowers when a lot of guys make money, and you can move some boys around and then make, obviously push someone down that's probably made a lot of cash and get a gun edge back rower as well. That's probably going to feed into your side.
That's pretty bang on, brother. Yeah, like Carrigan, Tino, Horsburgh are my ideal fronties. Once everyone else has made me some cash, and then I'm going to look for those try-scoring threats in that back row. Ali Katoa, Angus Crichton, David Fafita, those type of guys that, in the back row can score those 100 pluses because they bag a try as well as all the work they get through. So yeah, that's pretty bang on. The only one in my forward pack that I'm still iffy about, but the only reason he's there is very cheap, is Royce Hunt. 249K. I'm not losing money. I can't get any cheaper for somebody that's going to probably play week in, week out and score me 30s, 40s. He's there if I ever need somebody and have nobody to select as a reserve. So that's the main reason Royce Hunt's there still.
And things should definitely change when round 1 lineups come out. If there's any cheapies that look like they're locked in for a big role in that front row position, there's guys like Pacific Tonga from the Dragons. That looks like he's around the range. He's at 190K. So there's guys there that you can drop down as well. So Royce Hunt is, for me, for you, it's going to be a placeholder, or he could even start the season for you. Who knows? But I see what you're going with there. I think that's a really good way to really balance out your squad as well. There's not too much money in your front row forward, and all your other money's elsewhere where they're higher scorers. That's
100% right. Like stacking the halves, stacking the fullbacks.
Yeah, 100%. Moving over to your hookers too to finish off, we got Blake Brayley and we got Sandon Smith. Obviously, again, touching on the show last night, we are both very high on Blake Brayley coming to the season at 519K for the Sharkies. A really good little option there for Supercoach. With Adam Fanil-Blake coming to the club, I hope we all probably look at for Supercoach wise, he's going to make a little bit of money and get a lot more points with that big boy next to him.
Exactly right. And he plays 80 minutes, a good quality 80 minutes as well. Now adding the try assist threat to his game. Yeah, I think we'll see Blakey Brayley be one of the top hookers and super coach this year.
Yeah, not too much to really pick at in the side. A very balanced side overall. You got all your money in the right places, as we see before. You've got the guns and Tommy Trebojevic, Kalen Ponga. So really excited to see how your side goes to start the season and how it looks coming mid-season as well, and see what changes your trades. And that's really the part of Supercoach, right? It really comes down to you start the season with the side that you think is going to go well, but it never always goes the same way. And it's really about making the right moves and, obviously problem fixing during the year, right? Troubleshooting.
Yeah, well, look, there's 100%. Like last year, even we started with guys, both of us did, where we're like, he's going to score us some good points. He's going to make us some money in the process. And they just absolutely tank the start of the season. They start to drop your cash and you got to trade out somebody sooner that you didn't expect to be trading out. So that happens. That can happen. But yeah, it's just about trying to get your money in the right places, as Ash keeps referring to, and just making sure that you've got a solid enough 17, and then your other guys are kind of place fillers that either got a bench spot, they're bottom dollar, they might tick over the scores, or they're just increasing slightly on price week in, week out, and that's really all you want to look for. You don't want to spend too much money on all of your reserves because you're not going to select them each week. They're just going to be either sitting there wasting money and you could invest that somewhere else, or they're just not playing and getting or getting you poor points. So you know where I'm at.
100%, bro. 100%. Totally agree. Tans, good to see you in the chat. Whose team is this? That was Brody's squad that we just touched on there. The last thing I didn't get to touch on, if you've got it up on you, how much cash did you still have left in the bank?
I don't have it up on me, bro. I think there's about 160-ish.
So you still got a lot of movement there as well, even with a lot of big players that you have. So guys, yeah, that's a big thing as well. Are you a strong believer when you come into the season, still having a little bit of cash so you are able to make moves and just in case what's happening?
Yeah, 100%. Like even Montoya's probably not set for me. Like if, Arthurs and Tass are playing where I think they're going to be playing, I'm potentially going to move one of those guys in and then drop out, Montoya for a bottom dollar cheapie as well in like Jackson Purdue or someone like that. So to free up even more cash. So yes, I am a believer in keeping some cash, at least for these early rounds. Well, especially this round when you've got unlimited trades after the Vegas. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. What would be the lowest probably limit? I think we spoke about this a little bit in the Supercoach last show, but for any new viewers and that, what do you look at as like probably the limit of like how low did you go with your leftover cash for movements? Like, would you say 10K is too less? Would you say like 5K or would you say 30K? Where are you sitting at there?
For this round, probably honestly about 100K. There's enough cheapies out there to at least bank yourself 100K until we see that team list for at least next week.
Yeah. 100%, 100%. And last little question before we move over to my squad. Josh Hill, obviously putting up in a chat here. I'll bring it up. How many players should we be targeting in Vegas? Honestly, for me, I'll touch on this first and I'll throw it to you, Brody. I wouldn't look at just having a ton of Vegas players in my side because that will probably bode that you have a lot of players from the same side, if that makes sense. And when you go into your buy rounds and stuff, that's when you really got to worry. I think that the Sharkies first buy is in round 4 or 5. So you have a ton of Sharkies in that round 4 or 5. You're in a tough predicament where you got to move players around. Melbourne Storm got the round 2 buy. Titans have the round 1 buy. So with Vegas players, I've got currently right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably about 5 or 6, maybe 7. That's probably about me. Do you have a set number that you would have for Vegas players?
No, it's not so much about Vegas players. It's for any sort of team. I don't like to carry more than 2 guys per team on average, unless the team's going great guns like the Roosters were last year, and you would have like Manu, Crichton, Teddy, and they're going to score good for you week in, week out. But other than that, I try to like to not have too many eggs in one basket, you would say. So I try and like to limit it to about 2 per team in my Supercoach team, unless they're like bottom dollar cheapies that are making me money. But in my 17 at least, no more than 2 for my liking. Just because, trials, not trials, bye weeks, they can really fuck you over. And you could be scratching at your bottom dollar cheapies to try and score you some points, and that's going to hinder you, or you got to use a trade and burn a trade. So yeah, I would say in Vegas no more than 8, because that's 2 per team. But you're probably not going to have too many from Canberra, in all honesty. So I'd say probably about 5, 6. Ash is probably on the money there.
Yeah, Josh has got it back in the chat. He's got 8 right now across 4 sides, and it's not too bad. Like, you start to say like 10, 11, 12, you know what I mean? Like, that's when you start looking at it. Is you probably got multiple players for one squad, and that's where it becomes a little bit of a worry. Then that's definitely a big thing, especially for new players to Supercoach. I remember in leagues back in the past when we had new players, when we brought into our leagues, and they're a fan of, let's say, the Broncos, and their side's majority all Broncos, and they've had a couple of, like, Supercoach doesn't work that way. You want to kind of get the best players out of each squad and really make it work within that area. You can't have so many players from one squad, because as soon as that bye week comes up, you're screwed. Like, I played around with a squad that had Munster, Papenhausen, Harry Grant, and I looked at Ellie Qatar and I was like, as soon as that bye round comes up, I'm screwed. Like, it's game over. So, you know what I mean? So that's really how that works out.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty bang on, brother.
100%, brother, 100%. Moving over to my squad, guys. So there's been a couple of changes as well. Again, both these squads, there's changes in the horizon, I would dare say. But currently right now, I've got similar fullbacks as Brody. I have jumped away from my gun fullback since Latrell jumped down. I was going to keep Reece Walsh in that position, but I wanted to free up cash, obviously, elsewhere. And I thought that with Cam Munster, seeing him in trials, we'll touch on him a little bit later, I kind of funneled my cash back there as well. So Kalen Ponga, Tom Trbojevic, Isaiah Ongi, obviously the 2 big guns there, and a cash cow there. I think that was the best way to go for me.
Yeah, can't argue, bro. I've got the same.
Yeah. If Latrell was fit and ready to go and all that, I would have went 3 guns and would have played around with that. But without Latrell, at the moment I'm going cash cow there. Moving to my center wings, I've got Ruben Garrett, Casey McLean, Adam Dewey, and Tyrone Munro. On the bench, I've got Jackson Purdue, Tamale, Robert Toya. At the moment, Tamale is getting the starting role. He probably will lose the starting role in week 2, so I'm not 100% sold of having him on my bench at the moment. I have money to move around, but right now he's just a placeholder in that sort of sense. He is, I probably would end up playing with him. I'll have to wait and see, but at the moment, he's just holding a place. But with those guys there, bro, any qualms or anything that you have there?
Yeah, I wasn't convinced with Tyrone Munro's game on the weekend. I think he was very poor. A couple of errors, not a lot of work out of the back end. Now Latrell out as well. I do have my qualms about Munro for sure. I feel like his ability to score points now is going to be hindered even more that Latrell's out. I feel like it's going to be mostly left side attack, and I don't know if he's still got that left side or not. That'll be the question. I feel like at 400K, I wouldn't risk him at this stage, but you're not going to lose too much if he does start off bad, and you've got till week 3 before it starts tanking in cash. Other than that, I do like the rest of the back line. Your money makers on the bench, bottom dollar cheapies that will go up in price without a doubt. And I do like the Adam Dewey shout. We don't know if he's going to be goal kicking at this stage either, so...
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with you on Munro's sort of side of things. At the moment, he is a guy that is looking like he's going to be in and out of my lineup and really work around cash. Like Jesse Arthurs is out there. I could probably downgrade to a Jesse Arthurs, free up a bit more cash there and place it elsewhere. So I do have other options if I do get cold feet there. And I completely agree when no Latrell does worry me there. So it's definitely a wait and see for me whether I have him in my round 1 or not. But I have time to really think about it because the other players I'm going to place in that position aren't being in Vegas currently as we speak. So, I was looking at either upgrading to try and get to a Greg Marju, which I currently don't have, or I can downgrade to a Jesse Arthurs and use that money for elsewhere, my edge back row or something like that. Adam Dewey, for me, I think he does start with the goal kicking. Seeing in trials, he had the goal kicking. Api Korosal's not back to round 3, I think, from memory because of suspension. And then it's really up in the air with that. So I'm more so just banking on that he starts really hot. And then, obviously when Api Korosal comes in, he doesn't take over the goal kicking, which is still a risk, 100%. But if he still scores very well and that goal kicking just ups it a little bit, it helps with his break even when he gets to round 3 and I can move him on if that really does become that sort of a play. But there definitely is a risk there.
No, I don't think it's too much of a risk, bro. You got the dual position there, which I like. You got Luai and Galvin wheeling and dealing to the outside backs this year. I feel like you'll see his base alone go through the roof just from getting some more clean touches with those halves, getting them to the correct points, getting the repeat sets, getting them good field position in the arm wrestle. Just on the
100%.
chat here, so Tan said, so this sell thing, you sell players to make money? You do. So on a 3-week basis, Supercoach will judge the performances and either increase players' prices or decrease them, depending on if they're played well or played bad. So that's kind of the time that you look to know if you're going to make money on somebody. It'll be after 3 games in a row for them. Then, you can trade out guys that have made you some coin or starting to lose your coin. It's completely up to you. And a couple other questions that were in the chat is, so you want to have a good chunk of change in the bank to start the season? Yes, now that we're in Vegas, just because you get that week where you have that unlimited changes after these games on the weekend. So by a good chunk, it could be anywhere from like 50 to 100, unless you've got a couple of guys there that that you could just trade out to make money, like Ash has there in Munro, that he could just trade him out, put Jesse Arthurs in, roughly get the same sort of player, but still save himself another 70K. So that's kind of what you want to go for there. Isn't that correct, brother?
100%, bro. I pretty much was going to echo exactly your same sentiments there. With the cash thing, obviously tons as well. If you want to find out information, it's what they call break even. So a break even is there's a set points that a player has to hit to end up raising their cash. You'll be able to find it online, or even we'll be talking about this on this show weekly as well, certain break evens of players that we're watching out for. So that's really how you got to be looking at you making your cash. So let's say that Nico Hines has a break even of 120, which would mean that he would have to hit over 120 to make money. Or if he hits unders, more than likely, if he is that, we're probably going to move him on because he's more likely to lose cash, right? And when there's players, let's say, they have negative break evens, some do, where they're like negative 15, they're going to shoot up in cash to buy 50 to 100K, and that's the players you want to get in and make a lot of money on. So, we're saying all that too. Supercoach is about making money, and it's also about scoring a lot of points. So it's got to be a balance as well. You got to really find a balance. You want to keep your guns in your lineup, but also, you want your cash cows to move on and make money.
Well, that's exactly right. Like if Cleary's break even, say 100 a week right now, and he's getting, 85, 90, the odd 100 something, and he's lost you money after 3 weeks, you don't need to stress it just because he's gone down in money. If he's scoring good scores like that, that's still a good thing. And in that next 3-week period, his break even will be less, and he'll more than likely go up in cash. So It's not all about if guys are, tanking in cash a little bit that you need to trade them out. If you're happy with how they're scoring, by all means. The best thing as well, you can suss out at any given time what any player you don't have scored the week before. So you can have a look at it and go, fuck, he's scoring good each week. I'm going to put him in instead. And that's kind of how you learn as you go with it.
Yeah, 100%. And there's these certain players that you have in Supercoach that have like the ability, like for, let's say, as you said, Nathan Cleary, I'm not going to get too much cold feet if he hasn't got the best scores to start the season, because I know that he'll come right until, probably a little bit later on down the track. That's when I'll make the move. But then there's players like, let's say, for example, Luke Metcalf, right? There's still a lot of risk with Luke Metcalf. Let's say he starts the season with 30s. I'm more than likely looking at going to be like, all right, I think there's a time for him to move on, first of all, instead of like, because he doesn't have that backing of being a Supercoach gun, like a Nathan Cleary, like a Tom Trbojevic. So it's really a lot of balance, a lot of patience, and looking into it. But tune in every week, Tans, and we'll try and obviously give you tips on what we think. But again, we're not professionals, and whatever you stick with, have fun with it. Play it like that's the best way to play it. 100%. Moving over to my 5/8s, we got Cam Munster and we got Luke Metcalf. So similar to you, got Luke Metcalf on my side. On the opposite side, I went a gun 5/8 in Cam Munster. Risks still there, obviously coming back off an injury and that. More so hoping that he's going to come into this Melbourne Storm side this year with a point to prove, getting back into Origin, all that sort of stuff, that he is going to start off with a little bit of a bang. Round 2 bye definitely is a risk there to start with. He's probably, for that little period there, he's got the round 2 off. And again, injury risk is still a risk with Cam Munster there. But his upside still a massive upside. He has the ability to go up to 800K as a player. And it's always been one of the best 5/8s to carry in Supercoach with Dylan Brown.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It is a bit of a risk coming off the injury, and how much of the reins Jerome Hughes took last year, and if Cam Munster has kind of been shunned to the side a little bit on control of the team. But Munster's not that type of guy. We all know what Munster's about. He's going to come back swinging if he's fit and healthy. And it's kind of the same risk with picking someone like Lockie Galvin anyway, because you don't know how much Luai is going to take over the reins. But yeah. Cam Munster's running game, his tackle break ability, and his line break assist will score him a lot of points in that regard. And the fact that he can get a sneaky try as well. He doesn't do a lot of kicking in the field of play, but he does a lot of close to the line kicking and gets the forced dropout points. So, yeah, look, there's plenty of upside to Munster. The only downside is the injury, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. So it's definitely a wait and see. I'm banking on him having a great season. This thing is high risk, high reward. Go in, go hard, and hopefully he proves me right, makes me a lot of money. Moving over to my halfbacks, you got Nathan Cleary, Nico Hines. We both have the same halfbacks.
Yep.
I think it's probably the safest way to play this year at the moment. Tom Duffy is definitely a guy I looked at carrying, being bottom dollar halfback and the goal kicking for the Cowboys. But still, what's the risk there, Brody?
The fact that he might get put out straight away.
Exactly.
And the fact that the Cowboys, when they're bad, they're very bad. I haven't really paid too much attention to their run at the start, but I just think it's easier and safer to go with two guns halves. And there's enough bottom dollar cheapies to be able to afford to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally agree. But, I do understand a lot of players that want to go Tom Duffy. If you got your thought process, he's going to be there long term. He's going to make a ton of money and all that. But Jake Clifford being in the background, the job security there is still a little bit of worry, especially when you hear all that news coming out that Jake Clifford's on the race back to be back, around that round 1 to round 2. So it's still a wait and see there.
100%. And I think Clifford will get the first shot.
Yeah, exactly. So moving over to my second row unit, talking about the Cowboys, I've got Jeremiah Nanai in there right now. I'm fairly high on Nanai at the moment. There is a lot of risk to him on Supercoach, but usually with Nanai, he usually scores a lot of points due to his try scoring ability and that he doesn't really have the greatest base in Supercoach, but I'm banking on more of the fact of that Tom Dearden is going to be inside of him feeding a lot of ball, which would raise his base. He'll get a lot more touches of the football, where on that right hand side, a lot of his obviously his try scoring ability came off of kicks and just those moments where he can just do those 1-out moments, right? So I've got him in there. Kelma Tuolangi, Siwa Wong is going to be in my jersey there. On my bench, I got Dimitri Vaimwanga, Charlie Geimer, and Lockie Hubner.
I like it. Jeremiah Nanai, great shout. I just hope he picks up his fitness. I feel like he lacks a little bit in games because that helps with him not tuning into games. If he gets a bit fitter, he'll tune into games a lot more. I think Tommy Dearden will definitely bring that out of him. Siwa Wong is apparently starting at lock, so that's a great shout there. And I know that on Kalmar, you're a little bit iffy. You might trade him out depending on how that round 1 team list looks. So, and you got a bit of cash that you could free out for, Jack from the Broncos or something like that, or just 100%. Lockie Hubner in and somebody to make you money on the bench. So I know that one's not too set in stone for you, but other than that, I love the bottom dollar cheapies on the bench that are going to make you a fair bit of coin. And then we've got another chat from Tarns. So you want to have players from the top teams, basically, because if teams playing like crap, you're more than likely to lose money. In a way, way, you're correct. But, we see some really good performances out of bottom teams as well. Like Keanu Kinney was probably a very high Supercoach scorer when he found his feet last year, even though the Titans were pretty average. He was up there with scoring about 100 plus a game. So it doesn't necessarily mean that. You just want to pick guys that, play 80 minutes, get through a lot of work, and potentially can score a try. It's all stat based basically, and you'll get the rhythm. 3-4 weeks into it, you'll see who's good value, what they look for, why they scored well, and that type of thing. So it's not as simple as just you pick the top teams. It's not that simple.
Another good player, another great example is someone that you're carrying on your side. Lockie Galvin had an incredible Supercoach year last year that got him up to that 700K range. Playing in the wooden spoon side, there's a lot of players like that. Uppy Coruscant's another guy in the West Tigers that has a lot of touches, a lot of ability. But there is other players that when their team goes a lot better, obviously their Supercoach points do go up. So there's a balance with everything like that. And with Kelma, as you touched on before, for me, I'm starting to get a little bit of cold feet due to just seeing him in the trials, he had like a really solid performance and had a little bit of a down performance. I don't know if he'll become a trap for me where he's going to be really up and down and he won't really consistently make money for me. Being outside of Mitchell Moses, which most likely he'll line up, does excite me still a little bit. I don't know if he'll just become that real big lead runner and they're just going to put it out the back to Zach Lomax at times as well because of maybe some errors that he has in his game. So I'm really waiting and seeing like my thoughts there. That could be a real late one. They're going to change out. Who knows? But yeah, that's really my thought process there.
Yeah, well, if they use him anything like they used Papali'i back in 2023, you'll be
Yes.
laughing. So, like, let's hope that, that sort of mold happens with him. But like you said, you're not risking too much money there at this stage, and, he's not a set in stone for you.
100%. And I feel more comfortable going with a 400K player, maybe for a round 1 or whatever. If he doesn't really fire for me there or a round 2, by round 3, I can move him down to a Jack Jazeski or something like that could be firing and make money on that sort of side of things as well. So I feel more comfortable doing that in the edge back row position than multiple other positions in the side, like fullback, stuff like that.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Sweet. Moving over to, before we jump over, I also saw another question here from Tans. What's a good overall score? Is it 1K, 2K? My projection for round 1 is 964. My first thing on this is don't ever look at that projection for Supercoach if you got because obviously everyone's got the gold to start with. I think it's like a free trial that they give you. Don't ever go by that. They don't know how, certain players are going to be playing, and there's like a lot of cheapies that you're putting in your lineup that they don't know what their score is going to be like this year, especially with roles changing. And a good baseline for scoring for me is like over 1,000, that 1,100 sort of range. You're going to get over that. As soon as you go under that 1,000, more than likely you are going to drop in rank. That's really where I sit. But your thoughts on that?
Nah, you just took the words out of my mouth. Like, you want to be aiming for that 1,100 plus. And if you aren't, you need to start looking at, trading out some players to get some guns. Next week, maybe 100%. What we'll do before we lock in our team is we might make our trades live on air.
Yeah.
So guys can get an understanding of what we're going to do looking at our team into round 1 when that team list drops. That's what we might do for you guys next Thursday.
Yeah, so you can get a thought process of what we're looking at, where we're thinking about. So that's a good idea. That's a really good idea, brother. Moving to my front row position, I got Nrl May, I've got Corey Horsburgh, Nafahu White, and Hopwood at the moment. Still a guy very similar to a Royce Hunt and that, even though he's bottom dollar. Is a guy that's just holding that place there right now. I'm waiting to see a cheapie to get into that round 1 sort of where I can really sit with. There was rumor that Hopwood would have stole a role there on the bench, but I'm not 100% confirmed on what's going on there. But the other sort of move, I still am hot and cold on Nrl May. The Nrl May move for me is more the fact of like, I don't want to miss the boat. That's the whole thing. It's probably like, maybe it's like, I don't know, I'm sitting on the fence a little bit there, but I think that with the cash that he has there, 597K, if he does go shit, I can move him down to 18 Fa'asul Mala'awi. But if he goes guns, I don't really want to be moving around players to try and get a front row forward into my lineup as well. So that's really where my head's at. But again, as I've said to you multiple times, I do feel like he's starting to become that overhyped player at the moment.
Well, yeah, the risk isn't really there. As you said, you got 2 weeks to see what Nrl May's throwing out there in round 1, round 2. And then, you've got Tino that's got the bye round 1, and then you get to see what he's going to throw out there round 2. And then before that round 3 starts, you could pull the trigger on making that trade and not lose any money, if not gain money on Tino. So I like your thinking there. I know that you love that he's PPM when he is out there. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. I still just don't like him starting. I feel like his minutes are more quality off the bench, but time will tell. We don't have to wait too much longer to answer that question.
Yeah, legit. And as I said to you before, like I know Corey Parker back in the day had the goal kicking, which helped his PPM as well. But he just reminds me of Corey Parker type of player that just fitness based. He's going to get a lot of points of offloading. And watching him in that trial, he looks like a type of guy that's just going to take as much runs as possible. And a lot of the qualms I have over Nrl May doesn't really also regulate into like Supercoach scoring, right? A lot of defensive movements and that. Those sort of stuff sometimes just don't really show up in Supercoach scoring. So it's a little bit different look there.
That's exactly right. Hey, brother, do you want to quickly show these guys how, for instance, trading out like Wong and moving someone like White to that back row, and then picking up another fronty, just to really get an idea for everybody that you can move these guys around without having to waste a trade. I know it's not going to show on the trades because we're unlimited at the moment, but take it away.
100%, bro. So currently right now I have 144 left in my salary with all these players in my lineup. So what I'll do right now is I'll trade out Wong. So right now we have a free spot in my second row position. So the ability to me to move players around, as you've touched on just then, when you have players with a dual. So you'll see a dual next to their name saying 2RF. That has the ability for them to move down to the second row position. So you're able to, let's say I want Naf White. I want him in my second row position. Go to substitute, put him down. He's not really working for me right now.
What a stitch up.
Sometimes Supercoach can be like that. But let's say, right, I'm gonna move him down. I'm gonna get Naf White in my second row. Let's say I just substitute him. You can do that. Substitute him into your second row, right? And then I move over to my front row, and I've got the ability to buy these front rowers here. And with that move there, it's probably going to be looking at, you got Thomas Flegler, who we're waiting obviously to see with his nerve damage. You probably won't see him this year. Xavier Willison, Paseka out with injury. You know, a player I like, Fanua Bole, who I thought played really well in the trial, right? So you can trade someone in like that, and he's got a duel as well. So you have the ability to move these guys around as well.
So you can swap them back right now and then just trade White back in. Trade Wong back in.
Exactly. Just as I did there, sub and sub, change it back over, move that out, look up Wong, and bang, I made the trade. So similar to if you saw Brody's side just before, guys, he's got Paddy Carrigan in his second row, and then he also has Horsburgh and all this sort of stuff. He can actually move Paddy Carrigan straight up into the second row or front row and really play around with that without having too much trading and stuff like that. So
the benefit of the duels, guys, is because each week you only get 2 trades that you can make in between the not lockout period. You can also boost a trade, but you only get 5 boosts a year. I think it's 5 or maybe 3. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, something like that.
5. Yep. Yeah, it says there 5 boost. There you go. But yeah, so week to week you only get the 2 trades. So if you want to trade out more players, or you're trying to trade out somebody in the front row, but you don't want to pick up another front rower, hopefully you got somebody in that front row that you can move to the back row. From the back row into the front row, and then you're trading to get a better back rower. That's what you're basically wanting to do with your dual players to be able to save trades throughout the season.
Exactly. And as we said to Tahi's team last week with our team review of Tahi's team, he's really big on the duels because he's obviously a player that really believes in just shifting everyone around, moving them around, moving cash around. So yeah, Tahi even bringing it up like Tahi in the chat. So
and everybody that's new to Supercoach, by all means, do whatever it takes to get Corey Horsburgh. He's fucking cheap as right now for a guy that plays big minutes. 2-3 seasons ago, he was averaging about 90, but he was scoring 113s, 120s because he was playing lock forward. He's got a good offload. You get really good points for offloads. But yeah, Horsburgh is definitely a set to start the season up front, especially because he's got that duel. He's won the race now for that front row position as well. He'll probably play bigger minutes than Tarpany. So he probably won't play as quality minutes as Tarpany because Tarpany is really good when he's out there. But Horsburgh will play those longer minutes and he'll bank points that way. He might even move to lock halfway through the game. So definitely build your forward pack at least with Horsburgh in it for my liking, for everybody's liking.
100%. And Tan's bringing up in the chat here. So if Horsburgh is playing in the front row on Sunday, do you have to put him in that position in your Supercoach team? No. So all the positionings that they have on Supercoach is just for Supercoach, so you can move them around if they play in that position during the week. Let's say Horsburgh plays on the edge or plays center, right? It doesn't move him to center position. He's still a front row forward on your team. So sometimes that helps as well.
Bro. GT, he is a big red motherfucker from Cabo.
Yeah,
he's from our hometown.
Shout out to Big Red. But yeah, and it's also good to think of too. There is like players like, let's say or in the past, Jaden Campbell, when he didn't have 5'8", but he was a fullback that got pushed into 5'8", when he's playing 5'8" at a weekend, he doesn't move to a 5'8" position on Supercoach. You can still carry him on the fullback and still score, those sort of points there as well. So
exactly.
Yeah. Basically, overall, all your positionings here are just Supercoach positionings. What they play on the football field doesn't really change anything on Supercoach in a way. And then lastly, we have at hooker, Harry Grant, Sanders Smith. I've been pretty stuck on this to start with. I think that having someone like Harry Grant that everyone's going to be trying to trade up for at the end of the day, I think that is probably, for me, my better option. But if there was other players out there, as Brody had, Blake Brayley looks nice. Players like maybe Marshall King, they have potential. But I just got to go Harry Grant, pick and stick, and hopefully he starts the season on fire.
Yeah, you know what you're going to get with Harry Grant. He's never under 50, and his limits are through the roof. And then Sanders Smith is, he's going to be playing somewhere in the Roosters this year, whether it's 5'8", whether it's half, whether it's hooker, whether it's bench. That he's a bottom dollar cheapie that's going to score you points. He's going to probably have the goal kicking in the early rounds as well.
100%. And the way I looked at my side as well too, guys, I just think that I've got a lot of players that are well-known Supercoach community as Supercoach guns. I'm expecting them to fire early on. I'm not as much going the cheapie route as what some people are really going with. I'm trying to get out there early lead and expecting a lot of my other cheapies, because there's still a lot of cheapies here to make money and really cover what a lot of people are trying to get with certain cheapies like a Duffy and stuff like that. I think that Hines and that will start with a bang. And if Duffy doesn't start with a bang, I think it causes Supercoaches be in a tough predicament where they have to throw cash around everywhere. So I don't want that noise. I really don't.
Exactly. That's pretty bang on, brother. You got all the money, all the scoring in the good positions that you need them.
Yeah, and just to end off there, guys, as I saw before, 144K that I still have left in the bank. So I still got a lot of room to move around before round one. All right, so that's those two Supercoach teams, guys. If you'd missed them, if you only just jumped in the stream now, make sure you go back when the stream finishes, or even right now if you don't want to be live with us, go back and check out both sides. Brody's side was first, my side was second, and give your comments in the section, comment section down below, your thoughts overall on those sides. Let's move over to a couple of the squads that I picked out of what Tahi has sent to me for some players and stuff that wanted their teams critiqued a little bit. If you guys are in the chat, if these are your sides, let me know in the chat right now. So we're going to start off with, this is Ty's team called the Monty the Boy. I think that's what the name of the side is. So starting off in that fullback position, he has Scotty Drinkwater, Tom Trbojevic, Isaiah Yongi. So Scotty Drinkwater, I like him if he has got the goal kicking. It definitely helps him with that points. He has the ability to go high. The only thing with Scotty is he does have a really low bottom end. There's times where he can score 30s, and for a fullback, that's a little bit of a worry. But then there's a high end with him too. He can score the 130s and be upwards of with the guns.
Yeah, look, if he was in the 600K mark, my reviews on the Drinkwater would be a lot more. But, he's sitting up there at 770, which is pretty high to start the season for Drinkwater. I dare say we'll see him drop in the first few rounds, and then his price will start to go up when he starts to get more so where his points are. He was kind of on fire towards that back end, which has really driven his price up. But yeah, I do see the Drinkwater hype. He played really well in the trials as well. And if he brings that form, by all means, we could be eating our words, and he could be the next 900K fullback.
100%. So risky play, but I like it as well. There's ways it could go well, and there's ways that, a lot of people are getting him in at 600K, as you said, when he gets bottom dollar there. Moving to your wing center positions, we got Brian Toto, we got Casey McLean, Ruben Garrick, Jesse Arthurs. So I'm guessing this was sent to me before the Brian Toto news as well. So that's probably been changed. The bench, Jack Bird, Jackson Purdue, and Robert Toya. So I like those a lot.
Can't argue.
If Brian Toto was healthy and that base stat wise, he's an absolute freak. But yeah, really do like this.
Yeah, I can't argue with it. I'm sure they've probably traded Toto out now and rethought that. But even if they haven't, he's only out for 1 week. You can get Jack Bird in there to cover and put a reserve on Duffy, who I can see already up there.
Shout out to Ty. He is currently in the chat as well. Appreciate you sending your team through, my brother. Who did you trade out Brian Toto with, if you have already? If you haven't, give us some thoughts maybe in the chat of where you're thinking moving him on if he is out for round one, which I'm pretty sure is pretty much confirmed, right? I'm pretty sure
he is confirmed. Yeah, he's not selected.
Yep. I like the Jack Bird shout in a way. I was thinking about that for a little bit. The only worry is if he is definitely coming off the bench, it's a little bit of a worry there. But if he gets a starting 13 role, I think he's like close to nearly a lock and load?
Yeah, if he's starting next week in the lock forward role, I'll probably be trying to find somewhere back in my team for him. But if he's off the bench, I'm happy to probably steer away and go with the other guys I've gone with.
Yeah, and Ty says still judging on, the Brian Toto moving him around. So is there any names that you'd probably throw up there? You don't have a Greg Marju. He's probably the best way to free up cash, I think, 100K there.
Yeah, if you needed more cash, Marju route, or if you're happy to go a week without Toto, chuck Jack Bird in there or Purdue if he does get that starting role, and then just leave Toto out for 1 week. I'm leaving Tino out for 1 week. That's a big chunk of my salary there, but I'm fine to do that. But yeah, if Toto's only tipped to be out for 1 week, happily chuck him to the side. You got Duffy there that you can chuck as a reserve. He's going to score all right anyway.
Exactly. Moving over to your 5'8", you got Jerome Luai and Luke Metcalf. We touched a lot on Jerome Luai in our last week's show, but similar to the thoughts, it's just a wait and see for us, but I can see why people are risking it there.
Yeah, I like the Luai shout, and now Metcalf's dual as well, so both those guys will be dual. I think Luai will get enough touches to be able to base around that 60, 70 plus range with obviously, the ability to go higher.
Agreed. So he has gone the Nathan Cleary and Tom Duffy route. As we touched on before, Tom Duffy, obviously with the cash making ability that he has there, if he has locked in that spot, I can see the reason why going that way. But yeah, obviously there is a risk there too.
Yeah, look, he's going to make you money regardless. He'll be in that team. Well, hopefully he'll be in that team for at least 3 weeks so you can see that cash. Because if he does only play 2 games and then Clifford comes in, no matter how well Duffy's played, he won't go up in price until he does complete that 3rd game.
Exactly right. Shout out to Jazz running away. Thank you so much, Jazz, for tuning in as always. I hope you have a good night, my brother. And Kai, the hamstring issue has me a little worried though. So I'm guessing that was with Brian Toto. So
I can see it. That's why I traded him out.
Exactly. So yeah, other good position. You have Jermaine Asako if you want to go up. I'm pretty sure Jermaine Asako's up, right? I think
he's up. Yep.
Yeah, and then you got Greg Marshall to go down at 500, or you can go real cheap if you want to throw around a lot of money elsewhere. But yeah, I like where your head's at there. Moving to your second rowers, we got Aaron Clark, we got Nafahu White, Corey Horsburgh. On your bench, Bo Fermor, Tom Gilbert, and Vi Mwanga. So a lot of middle forwards here on your second row unit. When you see this, do you worry about maybe losing the higher upside of a really good edge back rower that usually score tries and points that way? Or you're more so happy that these guys are going to base high points and they're going to be more consistent than your edge back rower maybe?
They're just cheapies at this point. Cheapies that are going to score well and build cash, and they're all duals. So you got the ability to trade out for one of those guys down the line. I can see Tino's up in that front row as well. Bo Fermor is a try scorer, so he's going to come in once the Titans are off the bye. So, yeah, I like it. I like the fact that they're going to build price there. Those guys will all collectively make some coin for him, and then he'll be able to look at one of those guns that do score very high on Supercoach like an Angus Crichton.
Yeah, and I love, obviously, the Bo Fermor got the CT dub duel as well. Very similar to a Dylan Lucas type as well. So they do score a lot of good points there, and they base better than a lot of CT dubs as well. So there's the ability to push them down to CT dub and play around in that sort of realm as well.
Yeah, I think, looking at how many reserves you've got there, brother, maybe potentially looking at putting Fermor in instead of Toto, and then just getting a cheapie in your back row, because you only need 4 guys to select on your bench. Remember that. And, you're going to have Tino, you're going to have Fermor, you're going to have Gilbert, you're going to have Metcalf, and then you've got, Jack Bird, Duffy, all these other guys that are still playing, making you cash and making you points as well that you don't get to reap the rewards of.
And so, yeah, Ty is starting the more consistent route, as he said in the chat. He still have consistent 50s at 2RF. And that's the other side of things. I just wanted to throw that up as a different sort of way of looking at it. Some people like to go the high upside edge back rollers that have the ability to go upwards because they do score more tries than a front rower does and score more points in that way. But then you got your middle forwards that get through a lot of tackles, a lot of work rate. They're consistently going to have better base than your edge back rollers at times too, right?
Exactly right.
Moving over to your front rowers. So you got a lot of money sitting up here. You got Mitch Barnett, Terrell May, Tino Fa'asul Malawi, and Royce Hunt. A lot of big dollars there, but a lot of them still have a lot of ability. You got 2 duels there. You can move a lot of money around. How do you feel about this front row pairing?
Yeah, Barnett, love. I know you know what you're going to get with Barney. He's going to probably start in front, then potentially move to an edge as well. So he's playing big minutes, and he scores really well on Supercoach. And we've already shared our thoughts on Nrl May a fair bit.
Yeah. 100%. The only thing, like for me, I play a little bit different. I don't like having this much money in my front row pairing to start off the season with, but I can't fight against it when there's not a lot of there's like not a lot of crazy good cheapies in that area as well. So you can go consistent with Tino, May, and Barnett, and a lot of those guys are probably going to hold for a majority of the year, right?
Yeah.
Agreed, bro. And in the hooker pairing, you got Sanders Smith and Owen Paddy. Owen Paddy obviously winning a bench spot, so there's good upside there if he gets decent minutes with him and Starling having good rotation. Sanders Smith goal kicking, number 6. I think everyone's lock and loading there, right?
Yeah, well, it looks a little bit light on here, but I can see what you're going for, and I love it. And, you know, Sanders Smith's going to be in that squad to at least make you money and score. You know, it could be anywhere with the Roosters. We don't exactly know how the performance is going to go, but he's going to have a pretty big hand in it if they are going to score some points, because he's playing half at 5'8", sorry, at the start of the season, and we don't know how many games that's going to be for. So, you know, he could bank try assist after try assist. He's got the goal kicking. He's got probably the general play kicking. You know, he could score 60s, 70s for you, and you'll be laughing for a bottom dollar cheapie like that. So I don't mind it, especially because how well and balanced the rest of your squad is. So
yeah, agreed. Very good squad there, Ty Bella. I'm not too sure how much money you had left over there, but yeah, the only thing we could say, obviously, with Brian To'o being out with injury, you got the ability to move cash around, or as Brody said, keep him in your lineup if you're waiting for him to come back after round 1, and he's still going to do a lot of great work for you. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be trying to get Brian To'o in, especially after when he gets back with injury. So
yeah, for sure. Eventually, the only other thing I'd say is don't captain Nathan Cleary. You don't want to have your captain play round 1
straight away.
Like you don't want it to be the first game of the week. You want to sort of put somebody as your vice captain that's playing early in the week, because if they blow the score, you know, they get 150 and you're not going to see that double on vice captain. But then you could trade in somebody that's not going to be playing, put captaincy on them, then your vice captain gets doubled.
Yeah, exactly. And we might talk about, just while we got it there too, because the flex does open up the opportunity to do so. So with the flex coming into Supercoach, it's given us the ability to now, Supercoach will only score the best, obviously starting 17. So you have one player that probably bottoms out and that will miss out of your scoring. So that actually opens up for you to do a little bit of something called a VC loophole. So as Brody said, you don't want the captain to be the start of the week, because then you lose the ability to change your captain out to someone that's not playing and get your score from your vice captain. So you want to put your vice captain on earlier on the week, and then you have the ability, let's say you put it on Nathan Cleary. Nathan Cleary gets 120. With Scotty Drinkwater, what you could do there is move him onto, like, you know, put the captaincy onto a player that's not going to be playing that week. And that gives you the 120 that Nathan Cleary scored.
Spot on.
But the double of that, yeah. The double of that.
Yeah. You get that doubled. Yeah.
Exactly right. So great team there, Ty. Really excited to see what you do, how you do this year as well, because I see a lot of high upside, and you look like you've played Supercoach before.
100%.
There's a lot of good names there. All right. Moving over to Alchemist's team. So, Alchemist, if you're in the chat, let me know, jump in. His team name is Goat Belfine. I'm thinking that's a band. As a song for the Alchemist. I don't know. But anyway, so starting over. So, very interesting little play here. Yeah, we're back. So, his fullbacks here is going to be Tom Trbojevic and the Hammer. And for his flex player, he has got Nathan Cleary. So obviously, guys, your flex doesn't have to be a fullback, even though a lot of sides do have a fullback in your flex. You can go a halfback. But yeah, very interesting little play there. What are your thoughts on having, Nathan Cleary in your flex?
Look, as long as you have Nathan Cleary in your squad, I'm not mad no matter where it is.
Yeah, and we'll definitely touch on the rest of his halves later, because I can see why he kind of went with that as well. And Goat, Goat's in the chat. So it's Goat's side, and I'm guessing Alchemist is his team name. I'm not too sure. Goat, let me know if that is true. But thank you so much for sending your team through, my brother. All right. Moving over to your center wings, we got Jermaine Asako, Ali Leatoa, Casey McLean, Jesse Arthurs, and on the bench we got Finau We got Jackson Purdue, and we got Toya.
Yeah.
So for now, obviously, it's a wait and see what happened there in that trial, whether it was a heat stroke, stuff like that, or the concussion. He did hit his head on the ground, so I'm not too sure what happened there. And also, the only risk I see there is like Christian Tuipulotu and that coming back into the lineup. But if he still gets that spot on that left side, he scored 4 tries in a trial, look really, really solid at bottom dollar. There's ability.
Yeah, look, I've thrown his name into the ring on my team a couple of times. Yeah, again, the only thing is if he's going to get that round 1 spot, and then if those other guys are going to be up for at least that 3 weeks, so we can see some cash pool there. Playing outside of homes, he will have a good score ratio there. So yeah, I can understand that move there straight away. And then just quickly on the hammer, we didn't really touch on him, and we haven't really touched on anybody with him in fullback. I like it. I really do. I could see the ability there to score through the roof. I really liked it a lot better last year when he was a center dual. That's the only thing that steered me away from like looking at the hammer.
Yeah, exactly. And the only problem for me with the hammer is he's another guy like kind of a similar realm as a Scotty Drinkwater, but his different sort of side of it is he scores a lot of his tries obviously off support, or he's a try scorer. That's how his points really get up. If he doesn't score a try that week, he does base out at like 30 and stuff like that. So he's not a massive scorer in that way, but if he scores a lot of tries and that, he has the ability to get up there in price as well, and you can move him on for other big boys up there, like a Kalen Ponga or something like that, if you do want to go that way. Moving over to the 5'8", we got Cam Munster and Luke Metcalf, very similar to the way I'm running. No real qualms there.
No questions there for me at all. I get it.
Halfback, we got Jerome Luai and Adam Reynolds. Again, I'm pretty sure this one was sent to me before as well. So there could be some changes that he's come up with. But right now, Jerome Luai, Adam Reynolds, and obviously Nathan Cleary's in the flex. So that's the way he's gone. He's gone halfbacks here, and he thinks obviously Adam Reynolds is in for a massive year. I think that's the way he's thinking of it.
Yeah, despite any injuries, Adam Reynolds scores good enough to get well over that 500k mark, especially with the goal kicking duties. I just don't know how much, especially while Ben Hunt is there for the 8 weeks, that hinders Adam Reynolds scoring. But I like the risk. It's worth the risk.
And Goat is a lady. I do apologize, Goat. I'm so sorry. Obviously, I cannot see gender or anything like that while I'm doing this. Appreciate you, Goat. But yeah, I can see that's probably the way she's thinking about this. Yeah, Adam Reynolds coming in, Madge, that sort of stuff, goal kicking. There's points there. And Jerome Luai there. Definitely see the ability in that side there. Second row, we got Keon Kalomatangi, we got Tom Gilbert, we got Aaron Clark. On the bench, got Tino Fa'asul Malaawi, we got Jack Bird, and we got Dimitri Vaimawanga. A pretty strong unit there. There's a lot of good money there that you can push around. Obviously, Tino can push in multiple positions here. I actually really like this. Keon now maybe has the ability. Obviously, Hubner, we're thinking will probably get that 13 jersey, but he could have the 13 jersey, Keon, so that's wait and see as
well, even if he is on the edge, now that Latrell's out, I like it because the Rabbits going to have to look at how they attack, and that short option is going to be on more times than not now. So I do like the Keon shout, even if he isn't in that lock role. I probably was only going to touch him before if he played lock, but now that Latrell is out, I do see that the Rabbits will use their back rolls a lot more. So that's a good shout for me. Gilbert, I think he's going to have a good season. He's going to boost up over that 462. And Aaron Clark, he'll get through enough minutes to boost his price as well. And then you got Tino on the bench anyway.
Totally agree, bro. Moving over to the front row, we got Terrell May, Nafahu White, Corey Horsburgh, and Royce Hunt. We touched on all these guys fairly, this is a very good pairing here. Obviously, they know their super coach. Yeah. And in the hooker role, we got Corey Pakes and Sandon Smith. Corey Pakes being a starting hooker. If that is the way the Broncos are going to go, if he's going to get the longer minute role in that hooker jersey, I see this working. But definitely there is risk there that he may not be the consistent starting hooker in that role. With Billy Walters, stuff like that. But there's ability there. 232K, I don't think there's too much that could go wrong, right?
Exactly. If he starts, even if he doesn't play the biggest minutes, he will increase on price for you after a couple of weeks, even if Walters is on the bench. But if he starts and they're not carrying a hooker on the bench, and he's tipped to play the 80, you'll be laughing because he will go through the roof. But worst comes to worst, you just put him onto the bench to make your cash there and have Sandon Smith in there like we've seen in that previous team. Exactly. And you can't really go wrong there. And, you're not spending too much on a hooker and you're stacked elsewhere, which I can see in there. So I like that move anyway.
Yeah, and I haven't got too many tips to really go with this side here. Pretty solid side from top to bottom. It looks like you've played Supercoach before. There's a lot of names that I obviously look at, and I think a lot of people do look at that play Supercoach consistently. The only interesting one is obviously Nathan Cleary in the flex, but he, as long as they're one of the best scoring players in your flex position, they got the ability to do so. I don't really see anything wrong with that. I just obviously lean towards the fullbacks, but there's definitely a good ability there with Nathan Cleary and still having someone like Adam Reynolds and Jerome Luai.
Yeah, we just like the look of having more than two fullbacks. More so, this guy might like the look of having more halfbacks. And I could see I could potentially go down that road as well. Once Iongi makes me cash, I could push Trbojevic up to fullback with Ponga, and then look at getting in like a Jerome Hughes if he's having a killer season on Supercoach, and run Cleary, Hughes, and Hines. Like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I dare say this flex position will always be for everybody a fullback or a halfback.
Agreed. So yeah, 100% go. Thank you so much. And again, I do apologize not knowing that you're a woman to start off with and that, but my ignorance and stuff, obviously just not being able to see a logo or anything like that to really go off of. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sending it through. Great squad. And again, like I said with the last one, I'm really excited to see like how the squad rounds out through the year. And as I said before, it looks like you know what you're doing as well, just as much as what we do anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly right. We've got a bit of a weird one there, brother, from Peace, Love, and Happiness.
Yeah, so I have no idea what I'm looking at. Are these bets? No, these are Supercoach. Sorry, Peace, Love, and Happiness. So if you don't really understand the game, it's an online game. It's free to do. We do have a league. Also, Wise Up TV have a league as well if you want to join. Obviously, you're a member in there, I'm pretty sure. But basically, you're pretty much buying players and they score points due to their performances on TV. That's probably the simplest way to put it. You pretty much you have a salary cap, you buy all the players that you want, you try to work them around, keep it balanced, and then make a lot of money. Obviously in game, that's pretty much the best way to put it, right?
And it's not their yearly salary; it's just their salary on Supercoach from how well they performed previous years, and stuff like that. And if the guys are bottom dollar, it means they haven't really played an NRL before, and their price will skyrocket after a few games. That's the easiest way to describe it without pulling out the whole rule book of Supercoach and reading it top to top. But that's what you're looking at there. So
yeah, if you want to have a little bit of fun, just jump onto supercoach.com. NRL Supercoach, or just supercoach.com. There has a NRL, there's BBL, there's many other different sports. Jump in there, honestly, just have a little play around, put a team in, have some fun this year. You don't have to go too crazy like we kind of do and all that. And then you may fall in love with it, and who knows, you could become one of the better Supercoach players out there. So just have some fun with it if you want to give it a crack. But, tune in every Thursday. Me and Brody will give you updates on our team and that if you want to just continue to watch just for that as well.
Yeah, just to see our pretty faces, that's no problem at all.
It's just another game for us NRL lovers, as Peace Loves having said, oh, okay, you guys are true NRL lovers. Yeah, it's pretty much just another game for NRL fans to go out there. And it probably save us betting a little bit over the weekend. We'll still have obviously some bets out there, but it's a free way to play and watch footy all the time.
100%. And just anything NRL, we love. We don't get an NRL game like you see NBA and stuff on PlayStation. This is our way of sort of having some sort of fun with it. We've never really tipped into the drafting, and I don't think I ever will. But Supercoach, you got to be a part of it. You got to love it.
I've always been curious on drafting, but would probably have to get a group of like boys that are consistently wanting to play Supercoach with us, which, we have a couple of boys that play, but I don't think we have a big enough group to be like draft every year. But, that's definitely another fun way to play Supercoach as well, guys. But if you want to go down that route, we're definitely not the professionals in that area either. So
no, we're definitely not. We'll be beginners with that. So we're sticking to Supercoach.
100%, bro. 100%. Anything more you want to touch on before we leave, bro? Is there any players you're looking at that you haven't got currently right now that you're just like waiting to see how it all pans out, or we pretty much touched on everyone?
No, we've touched on everyone until next week, brother. And like I said, we'll do some updating on live next week while we finalize our teams. But just quickly for the Vegas games, we'll give a couple of predictions because we haven't touched too much on those games. I've got the Wards winning 1-12.
I like it.
I really think that'll be a close, hard-headed game. I think both teams will still be trying to find their feet. Both halves pairings are still trying to sort themselves out, but I think it's going to be a battle through the forward pack. And I think that the Wars will be able to hopefully kick the Raiders out of it and then just, nab it at the end. I reckon it'll be even a 1-6 scoreline.
I agree.
Your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, 100%. I've gone 1-12 for that game as well. My prediction was on Wise Up TV. I think I had a 8-point score line. I think it was like 20-12 or 20. Yeah, 20-12 or something like that. But it's going to be a very tough game. All these sides that are coming in early in the year, everyone's trying to figure out their systems and stuff. So it could be a little bit scrappy. And with the Raiders, no matter what, when they turn up, they're a hard team to beat on their day. So definitely looking at it that way. Supercoach wise, I don't expect anyone to go booming crazy to start off here in this game, but hopefully the Warriors get off on the right start overall and get a nice win over the Raiders.
Horsburgh, 100 points.
Horsburgh, 100 points. The next game too, brother, the Penrith Panthers versus Sharkies. What's your thoughts there?
Oh, conflicted. I feel like this is going to be a banger and we're going to really get to see what the Sharks are made of straight off the bat. With the Toto out, I think I'm going to lean towards the Sharks now, but still only just. I'm going to go Sharks by 4.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, that with Toto out, that does change a little bit of obviously the Panthers working out their backhand. Toto does that so well, and it refreshes their forwards to get through their defensive sets, and that's really how Panthers system works so well. I'm still going to go the Penrith Panthers. I think it's going to be it's going to be a close game. I'm also banking on, obviously, they've had the rub over the Sharkies for a long period of time now, even with injuries out of their lineup and that they always find a way over the top. Does Adam Fanor-Blake change that? It's definitely, I have to watch and see it first. So I'm going Panthers 1-12. And as I said, I think it's going to be a really close game as well, probably a 6-point margin or so. But yeah, I'm waiting to see how the Sharkies go this year.
Excited for that one. I'm excited for both games. They're both going to be very close.
100%. And we'll give you the rest of our predictions as well next week, guys. Obviously, you do know me and Brody do the Wednesday show, Down Unders. And then if you miss out on that show, we do the Supercoach show as well here, the Lockout. So I hope you guys do enjoy that. Anything more you want to touch on before we go?
Australia women by a cricket score against England. It's simple as that.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously the Super League game, you got Warrington versus Wigan Warriors. Warrington's killing it at the moment in the Super League. Wigan's a good side overall. I'm pretty sure they're the side that have Jai Field, Bevan French, stuff like that.
And won it last year.
Yeah, very much.
So I dare say Wigan will get the nod on those guys there. Just, premiers coming in, something to prove.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of Super League this year. Warrington has started fairly hot, so I'm going to tip Warrington. But again, this is going to be a game that's going to be really close as well. But I agree with you. Gillaroos by a massive margin. Let's go. All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Comment down below your thoughts overall, as always. And guys, if you do make it during the live chat, I do love it. Obviously, as we talked with tonight to everyone in the live chat, jump in next week as we do, obviously, the Wednesday show and the Thursday show. And that will pretty much be us, bro. What do you reckon?
Laters.
Peace out. Let's go.